Okay, welcome to Digital Day. I'm Katie. I just want to do a quick reminder. Some of you were, or a lot of you were in our previous presentation. So just a reminder that you've got your event guide here so that you know all of the events that are happening today. Remember that we're going to close out this afternoon with a new event, an ADAC Sip and Stroll with ASID. So I hope you're going to stick around for that. After this presentation, we're going to have 1 hour for lunch. You can go to the Hungry Peach, but we are going to make that a little bit easier for you, and we're going to give you a slide that you can order, use to order your lunch ahead of time, so you can use that 1 hour wisely. And then we'll see you back here at 1:30 for our We've got two presentations at 1:30 and at 2:45. Have some fun with us. It's Digital Day. It's Social Media Day. So our hashtag is Digital Day at ADAC, and our handle is at ADAC Atlanta. So make sure you tag us and show us all the fun that you're having. I want to thank our sponsors for today. That's Business of Home, Kitchen and Bath Business Magazine, and ASID. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Chelsie with Kitchen and Bath Business Magazine.
Hey everybody, so today we are going to talk about smart technology and residential design, which is a big movement that I'm sure you all have heard about. I'd like to introduce my panelists, Alena Capra with Alena Capra Design, and Angela Poirrier of Acadian House Design and Renovation. So we're going to talk about all sorts of fun stuff, some use cases for smart technology, debunking some myths, why you need to, address this as part of your specialization as a designer. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So let's briefly discuss where we are with this. Where are we with smart technology in terms of, design professionals and homeowner buy-in, that kind of thing? If you want to start us out, Alena.
Sure. So I really feel like there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to smart tech for the home. It's just like designing a home, to be honest. These are the things as designers that we really need to ask the questions of our clients to give them exactly what they need, not only in the design, but also in the smart tech aspects. So it's not just, AV systems for the whole house. That might be one part of it, but there are so many different levels of smart tech now, from the most basic to just a couple of items in the house to really going all out and everywhere in between. So I think it's just as important as a designer to get into those conversations very early on and know that we're tailoring it to our clients' needs for each project.
Yes. So Angela, do you feel that designers are becoming more, like they are adding this, tech savvy, if you will?
I definitely think so. For us, it's you have to adapt. When your clients start asking for things of you and they want you to participate in that conversation, then you have to be open and saying yes to it. So that's what drives us all the time when we start adding services or a new aspect to what we do, like tech, where you just have to, when your client's requesting it, you have to learn about it and be aware of it before they ask for it. So the understanding of what might be coming at you and what questions might be asked of you, and being able to roll with that too.
All right, so then I know that there are some homeowners and who are out there who, might not trust smart technology at this point. Just privacy issues, how many times do I update it? Is it hard to use? How much does it cost? So maybe we'll start out by, I think you alluded to this, Alena, where you talked about it doesn't necessarily have to be in every aspect of your home. It can be sort of a customized plan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I think when we think about it in that realm, it's really like we all carry a smartphone, yes. Right? So we're dealing with tech every day in our hand right there. So adding smart tech to your home in layers, whether it's an appliance, whether it's a smart toilet and bidet seat, whether it's full customization, motorized drapes, lighting, all of that in one interface. So I kind of feel like you have to, like I was saying, it's about making people comfortable. I think as a designer, bringing them to showrooms. If you want to start out big and then scale down, I like to start with, you're thinking about some home automation, things like that. Bringing them to a showroom allows us to partner with professionals who know it even better. Like as designers, we are supposed to get the basic knowledge, but then also have the teams we could partner with who are the experts on that. And together we're delivering something really good for our clients. An experience to see the showroom, decide what products and things that they want, and then pare it down from there. by budget and also by just general needs of what they want to bring into their home. So I really think starting big, tailoring down, and then if they're really worried about stuff, maybe you could also, on the flip side, go small and do one item and say, okay, you know what, let's get you comfortable with this. Try out this smart bidet seat, and then they'll build and say, you know what, I like having things that have a little bit of tech, and slowly build. So you could either start big and scale down or start small and scale big. It depends on your client. As we know, each client has a comfort zone, and we got to kind of, as designers, we find that and bring it to them.
So you have clients who want just a little part of this, and then some who are super savvy, and they're just like, I'm buying into the whole thing. And so I guess you as designers have to know all those different levels.
Yeah.
It's really, I feel like, no different than what we do when we're sourcing furniture and fabrics. It's just in a different way. And it's kind of listening, you know, you're putting a performance fabric on a sofa because they might have young children and pets and they want something that's going to last. When you're figuring out what their needs for smart tech, it's the same conversations about your day-to-day activities, your life, what makes it easier for them.
All right, so let's pivot over to some of the privacy issues. I feel like some of that has definitely been improved upon over the years, but just as I mentioned before, I know that some people think it's hard to use, my father included. Wants nothing
We all
to
have
do
one
with
of
it.
those.
How many times do you have to update it, all that kind of stuff? Can you speak to that, Angela?
Yeah, so when it comes to the updates aspect, a lot of the items are not as complicated. Some of them are not Wi-Fi connected. Some of them are just simple as a touch faucet or just motion lights when you walk into a space. But some of them do require updates, but they naturally will update. A lot of the companies that I work with, just like your phone will update overnight, they have an update to the app. Sometimes you have to delete it and re-download it. But for the most part, it's pretty simplistic depending on the product that you select. Some products are going to be extremely complicated and that you have to bring the tech in to do the updates. And some things are just really simple, like a touch faucet or a voice-activated water dispenser. Some things are complicated and some things are not, which also kind of plays back to your client. Is your client want the complicated? They want to have variations of lighting for every mood of the day, or do they want just the lights to come on when they walk into the room? Like, where's their comfort level and where do they want to be too?
All right, so then something that we've learned about over the last year, I think they're calling it tech acne.
Yes.
You know, you want to have all these systems,
Yeah.
But you just don't want to see it. So how is that being addressed?
I feel like everything is sort of paring down in the home. So whether you are doing a full system in your home, that is the point, is to have less of the switches, less of all of that tech acne on the walls or even ceiling as well. And I mean, sometimes though, there are people who still want the physical switches and all of that. So again, that comes back to that conversation with the client. You know, maybe it's like a mild tech acne and you're just putting a little bit and having everything else automated, you know, on the phone or in the app.
And we even go so far as like the hidden objects, like the hidden charging stations in the counter, hidden where you're more of the LED track lights where we're not having cans throughout the entire space. So I've been finding a lot of things where we're like, where's the tech in this picture? I'm like, well, it actually it has toe kick lighting, hidden outlets, and a Wi-Fi capability between the range and the hood, where when the range comes on, the hood will come on. So like a lot of times it's a perfect way to hide it if you want it.
Photos.
I know.
Showcasing tech. We've learned because
show hidden tech.
it's so seamless, which is a great thing.
Yes, that's what you strive for.
So moving on to pricing, I suppose it's kind of like everything else, is you get what you pay for, but I also feel like the pricing for this kind of stuff has become more modified, you know, I guess also depending on, you know, whether you're just doing a little bit or a lot, but can you speak to that, Angela?
Yeah, so I mean, a simple example for me is whenever the transition from to regular bulbs to LEDs, LED cans were triple the dollar amount of a standard can, and now they're cheaper. So it's just kind of one of those things where the more that I find that when a product comes out, the more it gets used, the more that we implement it, the lower the price point goes. But then on the same side, you have new tech that comes out every year, and that new tech is always going to come with a higher dollar amount at the beginning. But the more that it gets accepted and more that gets used, the more you see that price point go lower and lower and lower.
All right, so I'm assuming you have to have conversations with this about, you know, with your clients who may not be all that tech savvy, but are interested in learning more about this and incorporating that into their homes. So how can you, as a design professional, kind of help get customer buy-in with it? Like how, Angela, do you become educated, enough to help your clients with this?
So for me, it's attending things like this. Like I was just saying how from the social media, I was like, I've literally been attending social media classes for 10 years. And now it's about also taking classes like this that starting that process to learn about it, reading with KBB. Like I look at these magazines every time they come in and I read them from front to back. And keep updated with the newest materials, the newest resources. I attend KBiz, except this year I did not go, but every year I go to KBiz for the last 7 years. So it's staying a part of it. Even if you can't go in person, this year I feel like I kind of went because I followed you. And I followed everyone else that was there and showing like what they're saying, like, hey, this is things that I'm seeing that you need to be aware about. And then you just go down the rabbit hole of, all right, well, what's this company? You go to the website, like for Free Power, for example. You go to the website, you see what it takes to install it, what materials it can be installed on, how the electrician would have to hook it up. So you kind of go down that rabbit hole in a good way, right? We're actually educating ourselves, not just doom scrolling, where you're actually going down those rabbit holes with the tech and really truly learning about them. So that way when a client does ask for them, I already know about it.
Yeah, I know we saw a lot of this last week at KBiz. I wish I would have gotten to see more. I heard about it from friends and things. Did you see this? Did you see that? But I know that is a great way to learn about this and then bring the information back to clients. So tell us a little bit about how you did that last week. And then I know you also like to bring clients to see like live demos of this as well.
Absolutely. So like at KBiz, for example, just finding those new things. Free Power, which we saw last year, which is a great innovation. If you're not familiar, you could integrate it into your countertop surfaces and wirelessly charge your phone or AirPods, all of that. It's amazing. And you could have the ring light around it that indicates where it is or not. So all of that's controllable. But what they did this year, which I loved, which was a great entry level to tech, if someone's not ready to do that in their whole kitchen, perhaps, they have it in vanities, freestanding vanities. It was a James Martin, Cosentino, and Free Power collab. And how cool is that? That you could start out that client who's like, you know what, I might want to try this. I would love to charge my phone in my bathroom while I'm getting ready and not plug it in. And it's all there, kind of all in one. So I think being at these shows, being at KBiz, even attending CEDIA, which is a cool show to really see all of the capabilities of what is out there with smart tech. There's so many different ways to just, I always try to keep an eye out for entry-level, like gateway products into smart tech. I mean, years ago, I did it with the Philips Hue light bulbs. That was a great tester for clients. Like, download the app, put these in the lamps, and let's control the color temperature. Because, I mean, as designers, color temperature is such an important part of what we do. So even being able to tune that perfectly through an app, and then they see how easy it is, then you could sort of, slowly build. For that hesitant customer, it's like, let's build on that. So just being aware of what's out there, from the highest of tech to the most simplistic and everything in between.
And those vanities are so beautiful. That's a great way to,
Love them.
I could already see a client saying they want this vanity, but it actually already has the tech in it, and they don't even want it for necessarily the tech purposes, but it just kind of comes with it, which I find is a
bonus.
I know, which I also find is another way to like kind of dip your toes in the tech world with as designers, but also for your clients too, where these products are already coming out integrated with it, and it's just a bonus, but they only liked it. We're like, oh, now I get a charging station.
Yeah, so we'll talk about a little bit more, those innovations coming up. But lastly, for, getting customer buy-in and that kind of a thing, I know partnering with tech professionals and those kind of associations like CEDIA and there are more. Talk to me a little bit about how you all do that and how you benefit from that.
So I make a habit to also not only attend ASID meetings, I do NKBA, and also I'm president of our Home Builder Association too. And so by attending those types of meetings, I meet my local experts. So I have, before I actually ever need them, I already know who I would work with. I already have a contact that I can reach out to ask questions in regards to if a client's asking for something that I'm not fully aware of yet, that I find out information, I find out the cost of it too. But by already working with them, so I highly suggest not to wait to someone ask for them, to actually already have that contact, already have the person that you would be working with in that company, and already be working together even just as a theory basis before you actually truly need them.
Yes, and we publish articles about that in KBB all the time. So just, you know,
That's probably where I got that from. I
the
mean, to be honest.
importance, and, yeah. Because, you know, it is hard, I guess, to think about adding another person to your team. Like, you know, how's it
That's
work?
why that anxiety level is there. Anytime you work with a new sub, it's like I have like my guys I've had for 15 years. So like I am very creature of habit. I know exactly what I'm going to get for everybody I work with. So bringing on someone new is always scary on top of a topic that's already something you're not necessarily familiar with or really comfortable with. So making sure you establish that is really important.
To piggyback on that,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, like, I've had people I've worked with for that, but every time I meet new people or we have different AV companies call our office, I like to interview them a little bit too. Which is your favorite? Are you a control for? Like, which, they sell them all, right? But like, I like to know, like, if this client is maybe looking for Crestron or this, sometimes it also helps me kind of pair the right person with the right project. So I think even if you have your qualified people that you always work with, it's always good to sort of be interviewing new companies based on where the project is, and just have that kind of in your back pocket. You've met with them, you know their capabilities, you know what they love working with and why, and maybe that's a better fit for this project. So I think that kind of like legwork before helps you shine as a designer when you do get ready to meet with that client, because you've already kind of gotten all that out of the way and you could bring it right to them.
I love that you say interview. Like because you truly are going to be working with them, so it's a great way to approach it.
Absolutely.
All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about how you define these needs for your clients. You know, I know that when it comes to, you know, we do kitchens and baths. When you have that, you typically will go to the home and kind of see what's going on and what the needs might be, what like as a deal breaker kind of thing. But in terms of smart technology, are there other questions that you ask, or, you know, how do you get to the nitty gritty? And I'll start with you.
So I think it's first there's a general conversation, right? And when we're starting, like, does it need to be throughout the home? Are we motorizing all the window treatments? Is all of the lighting and all of this and even security for the home, other things, do you want this all in one connection? And if that's what they're looking for, then we're starting that right away, where we're bringing them to a showroom and going from there. But if they're not looking for that, then we're gonna do sort of a room by room conversation. We might be motorizing all of these particular window treatments, and that could be done in an app. And then we might be, you know, using these appliances or this faucet. So I still think it's almost a room by room conversation regardless, because each of those things will dictate how they live in those spaces. So I kind of like to go room by room as we're designing, and even point out things maybe they didn't think about, you know, and that sort of can help add to it and make them more comfortable with it as well.
Okay, and what about you?
It's very similar concept as I'm looking, and I'm in the space. Sometimes I actually approach it probably a little bit more low key, I guess you would say, where I'm not necessarily asking, like, especially if I have a client that might not be like, if I brought the word tech up, they would probably cringe and say absolutely not and move on. So I'll usually ask questions based upon what I'm seeing. If I'm seeing Apple Watches and iPads and some like a motorized dog food or a motorized kitty litter, like anytime I can find something in the home that is something that is tech savvy that helps them improve their daily life, then I'll start asking questions like, well, how often do you cook, and how do you use your kitchen? And that will turn into like, maybe we can do like a motorized trash can that you just touch with your knee and it opens, or maybe having something where you don't have to touch the faucet to wash your hands, or tell Delta to disperse water. Like, depending on what I'm seeing, it will depend on what I'm suggesting. It might not always be right away. It might be after the interviewing process, where I've noticed in all these things, I'm now, and when the selection phase comes up, offering suggestions based off of making their space more functional based upon that are technically tech savvy. So read your clients. If you feel like if you bring those words up, it might actually pause the conversation. They don't want to hear about it. Then it might be better to bring it up once you show it as a solution, not as a new item.
Yeah, we just talked to somebody who wrote an article for us about client buy-in with sustainable principles, and you know,
it's very similar.
If that doesn't work, maybe talk about the health aspect of it, which we're going to cover in technology as well. But then she actually mentioned, go to the home and see, like, do you notice if they really like organic food, or do they have cruelty-free clothes? I'm like, how do you get to That's
It's like you're a detective.
Yeah.
You're scanning. I mean, whenever you're taking photographs, like especially like because we use a photographs for inventory to show everything they have in the space. And so when you're photographing the closet, you're photographing their clothing. So you can look at it. You can always zoom in later and look. Or when you're opening the cabinets and photographing the pantry, you can. So it doesn't necessarily you feel like you have to catch it all in that first round. But I always go back to and study the photographs of the home too.
Well, and sometimes if you're dealing with new construction, or
Yes.
sometimes, or it's like a second home where we haven't seen,
You have a
sometimes
lot
we're on
more
the
trouble.
blank slate,
Yeah.
but that's still, it's the interview process.
Yeah.
So like we're taking little bits from everything.
It's harder for you to do that because now you just rely on the client to tell you.
Okay, so now we're going to move into speaking to how smart technology has a role with convenience, accessibility, health and wellness, and sustainability.
Yeah.
So Alena, do you want to start us out by talking about lighting and shade control?
Yes, so on the screen here, this is one of my favorite products from Roburn, the Tenor Sconce. They introduced this about 2 years ago, I believe. And it's controlled with what's called the sway switch. And they work together where it's a tunable sconce. So for a bathroom or a dressing room or any area of the home, because these could be used anywhere. I love that you could tune that color temperature. This was a client, which she hadn't thought about that. We were just putting sconces in. And when the product had come out, I was like, why don't we think about this? If you're putting on makeup and doing grooming in the mirror, this way you don't need a separate one. You could have your magnifying mirror as well, but like this gives you the ability to control that light right from the touch of a switch. And it's super easy to use. So like, this is sort of a nice way to get that clean look and be able to control the lighting. Again, with even the recessed lights and all of that. Anything that's app controlled where you can tune the color changing technology. I mean, we're really not doing it for like colors, but for warm to cool color temperature for the most part in the home. And I think that really, everyone can kind of get behind this in some way, shape, or form in their home. And I think that's a great thing. Everyone knows the level of color temperature once they're in it in their home that they like. It's either really like, I like bright white light, cool light, I like warm light, I want to live in 2700 to 3000 Kelvin, I like 5000. It's not a one size fits all either. So I love that technology like this, very sleek, very clean. One switch, no wall acne with this, and it allows you to really bring that sort of clean look. So with lighting, I think that's a very easy thing to build on in layers or start as simple as just some sconces.
Yeah, and I love that because sometimes you need a different, you need a different light for a different task.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you don't want to be able to see everything. You just want to be able to see
Soft glow.
Soft glow. And then sometimes you really need to see everything. So like be able to control that is a great product.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like lighting has never been so important. I mean, I stayed in a really nice hotel last week at K-Biz, and the lighting in that bathroom, I want that.
It just makes everything better. Good lighting.
That's the start of so many projects. I stayed at a hotel.
Yes.
And then I think this is an example of the shading.
Yes, so for the motorized shades and everything else, this is a bedroom we did for some clients. And so when we're talking about, they had this all controlled through their entire system. But I love when you're kind of talking this out. Window treatments is one of, I think, it seems so simple, but it's one of the most complex conversations when it comes to rooms in the home where there's layers and sleeping quarters and stuff. So, we had the drapes were motorized with blackout. We also had some shades in the smaller windows behind there hidden as well. And, it's just that whole conversation. I love having this conversation early, even though before the fabric is picked, I'm kind of knowing what needs to be motorized, where and how. But the window treatments are another one of those, I think even easier than the lighting, that just about everyone wants simple motorization. And it makes it just really improves everything, especially when you have very tall windows and stuff like that. It just makes it so simple. And I think that's a technology that's been out for a long time, but now we're able to start doing more where you could simply get 2 roller shades in a bedroom that could also be motorized just from your phone without doing a huge system in your...
You could be simple or just as complicated
Right.
as this, and there's plenty of places to stop along the way.
Absolutely, and you could keep adding to it or pare it down.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the lighting in terms of wellness and sustainability, being able to, manage the shading and the lighting and it could save energy, the different colors for different aspects of what you're doing during the
That
day.
circadian rhythm you could bring in on the light bulbs. There's a lot of different ways you could bring that in and kind of have that level of light match all of that. That's such a wonderful thing when you could do that.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to voice, gesture, motion-controlled faucets, virtual assistants, appliances. Hopefully this is the right photo you sent me.
You're doing great.
Okay.
So this one has 2 touch faucets on it that also have voice activation to it. So that way you can actually tell, it just simply, it pairs to Alexa. You say, Alexa, tell Delta to dispense 8 ounces of water, and it will dispense 8 ounces of water. I love that technology because I'll use it instead of a pot filler, because I can just put it next, especially with that type of faucet, you can bring the hose to the pot. I can put the hose in the pot and tell Delta to dispense how much water I need in the pot. So I also don't have to worry about turning it on and forgetting about it. Who does that? And then walking away and you're coming back and your pot's either overflowing or you've made a mess on the counter. And then this one also has the toe kick lighting, and then the wall sconces too, all LEDs, lighting that were all mood adjusting. So like the lighting will change from morning, noon to afternoon. So this was one of those fun jobs for that.
So yeah, I feel like this definitely speaks to convenience for sure, in terms of you've got
Yes.
something in your hand, you've got chicken guts or whatever, and you can.
And it's great because I always find too, like from every age factor. So for kids automatically all of a sudden all want to wash their hands all the time, which is great because they can use the touch faucet. For an adult daily use, like I said, like I use it for everything, like for dispensing water to washing hands or doing food prep. And then as you get older too, arthritis, you're not having to turn anything. You just have to literally tap the faucet and you'll have water. So from every season of life, it has a pro for it. And it's just a little battery operated. And what I like about Delta too is that if you don't know it's touch, you can still use it like a regular faucet. So if you have guests coming over, that's not like they have to be schooled on how to use your house.
I think that's another thing that we always have to
Yes.
think about.
Yeah. So those are things too where when you have guests come over. This house, I will say, this client is on the extreme end of tech, loves tech, and I have a hard time turning on their lighting system when I go to the house. Because I feel like I have to, so the plumbing is easy, but the lighting, but he likes that. He wanted that. So as long as you have that for your client, it's a right fit, then he doesn't want people to know how to work his house. He likes that aspect of it.
It's kind of elusive.
I know. It's like, oh, let me try it for you. Let me get my phone.
All right, so let's move into how fixtures and fittings might fit into tech and wellness and all this stuff. I know there are faucets and shower controls and things like that that can be programmed to use less water, anti-scald features, smart toilets. We're going to talk about that, but you were going to touch base on the color anthem as part of this.
So a lot of these digital showering interfaces, I feel like this is, again, very sleek, very clean. This is all that you're looking at. And when you look at these buttons, it's pretty user-friendly. And that's really what it is. I think in the past, as it's evolved in technology, all of these interfaces becoming streamlined, things that look similar to like how your phone is. You know, you have simple, just, you know what you're pressing on. You want the music, you want all of the lighting, everything is here. So I think when you have the ability to do this is a product that is amazing for clients who want the tech. There are some clients and homeowners who are not going to want that. So I love that this is an option because it really is just such a sleek and clean look and really can have so many different things linked into it.
All right. I didn't see as much of this at the show this year, but smart bidets, toilets, washlets, things like that. I don't know how you all feel about that, or your clients do, but that definitely plays a part in this as well.
Yeah, I would say out of the bidet seats and the smart toilets, I design a lot of bathrooms. I've been designing bathrooms for 22 years, and I will say this. In the last 5 or 6, one of the best things when we put that in someone's house, they will say, the bathroom could be beautiful, but they're like, I love that smart toilet. It changed the game. We used to have at least 5 feet to put a bidet and a toilet in one space. This is in a New York City powder room. I have homeowners who are even wanting to put it in their secondary baths, for the guests, where you're able to also give them that experience. I mean, it really has changed the game that we're using these in so many additional bathrooms other than the primary bath. And I think that the technology has gotten so good and the look is so sleek and streamlined on so many of these. In the past, I think a lot of people stayed away from them because the seats were chunkier, the aesthetic wasn't as great. And then over time, I just think there's so many beautiful Kohler's Veil Intelligent is a favorite. The Toto Neo Rest is another favorite. The RS is just beautiful look. There's so many great options, and also now colors as well.
Agreed.
And then what are some of the, I've read about these, some of the tech savvy elements of these? I mean, they have a night light, they're programmed, like why
They open
would you
as you
need
walk
your
up to
toilet
them.
programmed?
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like I've done one where as you walk by, it opens. So as you approach the toilet, it will open, turn the night light on, and start to heat the seat. Yeah, it's like, hi, I'm here waiting for you.
No, and they flush themselves.
and
A
they
lot of
flush,
these is
yeah.
auto flush.
I will say this, I 100% agree. This is one of those things where you design the most beautiful bathroom space, and your client is just calling you up raving about the toilet. And it's such a simple thing, but to really have a raving client at the end, like a happy, like cannot wait to speak your praises. It's a small piece, but everyone that has it loves it, and they will randomly want to have a full discussion about it with you.
Absolutely. This is a piece of tech that I think everyone is open to. Even if they haven't had it before, you bring them into a showroom.
Yeah.
You show all of the options and all of the things. And I feel like it's kind of, it could also be like a status symbol of design to have like the
is.
top of the line bells and whistles. Like I remember when the Kohler Numi came out and had all this colorful lights and you could have the music and everything. Like it's a cool piece. But there's also some that are even entry level. So I love that there's something for every price point, every homeowner, every room, and every kind of level of tech.
Yes, 100%.
I think it's funny that this is such a popular item, and as a magazine, we can't really feature the toilet on the cover.
No, it's really hard. Well, it's even more fun to have the conversation with the client. But it's definitely it's an easy win as a designer for a job.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on the potty sniffer that was at KBiz.
See, those are some things I'm not so mad that I missed out on.
No, it won the People's Choice Award for the Design Bites. It was, you'll have to read about it. All right, so just going to move over to appliances. I think in our discussions, you all are aware of the mindset that a lot of clients don't really want smart appliances.
I would say, like, especially the ones that are reading inside the refrigerator, so you can like Wi-Fi in to see what's inside your refrigerator. I feel like that the tech in front of it and the look of it, because it shows that way. We're trying to hide appliances at this point in time, and most of our clients are requesting for them to be panel ready, not necessarily have a huge screen on them. What'd you say?
Absolutely. I have a client right now that I'm working with who has one of those with a big screen, and we're replacing the fridge. She's like, I've had it for a few years. I just want something simple. So again, I do a lot more panel ready, but even when it comes to just a regular, perhaps stainless steel French door, 36-inch fridge, right? Counter depth, cleaning it up, or now it's more about like the color and the hardware, and not so much, again, the discrete tech as opposed to right out there.
Right out there. I will say this, I do love a Wi-Fi capable oven that you can turn on before you get home. So that is a few features, like more of the hidden features.
Yes.
Not necessarily, I would say from a tech point of view, it's not in your face. It's more of the hidden things that just come with the range. So that way you can log in and turn your oven on before you get home.
Yeah, so pictured here, I guess this is the, on the left is the Samsung Bespoke. And to me, that looks pretty discreet. I know the screen's going to come on at some point, but it's just not always on.
No, and that has a lot of cool options with customization as well. So
Yeah.
this is a great one to kind of have fun with.
And I feel like some of it's internal as well, like maybe with the temperature zones and things like that you're not actually seeing.
Yeah, so now be able to adjust them. So we have one of the Miele refrigerators that we can change the drawer if it's a freezer or a refrigerator, and being able to also control the temperature zones in each area of the refrigerator, then that aspect is definitely something that is amazing, that you can have that flexibility within appliances because of the technology behind it.
Yeah, I feel like that might be somewhat easier to swallow. You know, I'm just going to have this appliance that tells me when I need to, you know, replenish the milk or.
Yeah, I think watching TV and leaving Post-it notes on the refrigerator, I think that aspect is now not wanted anymore, but the internal tech is more of a demand.
Okay.
I even think when there's like the interior camera, for some homeowners, that is a great thing. They love that they
love
can
it.
see what's
It's
in
just
there.
not the majority, you know?
Yeah, it's not for, it's, again, none of this is one size fits all.
Yeah.
That's why as designers, our rooms that we design are not one size fits all. We are curating, and we're curating the tech too.
I do definitely feel like being able to program your shower to come on or the water to, you know, and to have your own little profile in there if you share the shower
While
with
you lay in
somebody.
bed and turn it on.
Yeah.
And it's hot by the time you get up.
Yeah. I'm not going to go in there until, And a coffee maker maybe, something like that when you're
Will fit.
upstairs and you can start that. I mean, this is luxury convenience, you know, and it's not necessarily hard to operate and incorporate.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about smart tech offerings that are for peace of mind and, you know, notifications that you have a water leak, security systems, motion detected lighting, things like that. Like, how does that all play in?
For the water sensors, you can place those. Those are really simple tech. You can place them next to a hot water tank. You can place them next to your wash machine. It literally will just notify you if it gets wet. So that way you are acknowledged immediately if the wash machine starts to leak, or the dishwasher, all those areas that, especially for 2-story, 3-story houses, or you were saying.
In the condos.
Yes.
Yeah, I live in a condo, and our building has put them in all of our HVAC closets, which have the water heater as a safeguard, and a lot of seasonal
And your seasonal
homeowners.
clients,
It's a great thing, really, truly.
Especially your area, you have a lot more of that too, where your second homes and.
And it's very simple. You know, this is just, those kind of things are just so simple, and I love when it's like, doesn't cost a lot, but
No,
it
it's very-
saves a lot if something goes wrong.
Very much. Because I want to say one of them might even be connected to shutting off water for the area. Like whatever it's connected to, it will shut off the water.
It's really great.
All right, so we alluded to some of the kind of the new tech things that may not necessarily fit into one of these fun categories. Free power, what we saw, I think you may have already mentioned this, but what we saw last week was it wave to wake, I think? So, you know, if you don't want that light, this little light on all the time, it's off, but then you can put your phone over it to find it, which was really cool. Yeah. I don't think they've done this yet, but they're going to introduce, you know, for seasons like Christmas colors and
Love that.
stuff like that for the bars. You know?
I might have messed with him about like doing sparkles for New Year's.
Right?
He was like, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah. So that was one thing I saw. What else have you all seen lately at the shows?
Yeah, that was definitely, for me, seeing that in the vanity, where it's sort of like all in one, was a game changer for sure, because it's an easy way to start someone out with this and get them to love it and put it everywhere. Just trying to think of some other things. For me, I think I like the discrete tech. I also love the options. And again, this isn't something, it may not be for every homeowner, but like I love where you can conceal the cooktop under the countertop. You know, like that sort of look, we've been seeing a lot more of that happening, where you just get this very clean look. And throughout the show, as I'd see in different booths, they were starting, I think it's a really cool innovation, especially in small spaces. I've worked a lot in New York City, and if you could save 30 inches on your countertop for flexible space, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, or even in a huge kitchen.
Yeah, well, so I'm actually putting one in on an island. So we've got the big range on, like a 48-inch range right behind us. But she's like, I just want to do like a little bougie something. And that my client's words. She's like, I just want to be able to like all of a sudden just start boiling a kettle of water on the countertop and no one realize that there's even a cooktop there. So that's like her wow element.
And it's cool.
And it's really cool. But then I agree that like the countertop space, especially for those smaller spaces, or even a secondary space, even for outdoor use, because you don't, especially if you have a lot of wind issues, you don't have to worry about the flame going out, because it's just a direct connection for heat. So I really liked that too. And what I find interesting about that too is but being aware too that you have to use certain countertops with it. So it's certain countertops, and even sometimes like with the free power, it's even certain colors within that brand. So like this one is Constantino, but they also say certain colors are what you can use with that. So knowing that beforehand too is really important.
I think a big thing about any smart tech, and even when it's newer technology, is really getting
Find the
those
rules.
specs and working with not only the manufacturers, anyone from tech support. Like, I like to assemble a whole team so we're all talking to
Yes.
one another, because we have to get it right.
Yes.
And there are so many different things, no matter what you're using, to be aware of.
Yeah, so that's a prime example of what you're talking about too, is knowing about this before selections are made, because this would be affecting your selection process.
That's a good point.
I did see something where there was under-counter blender charging at the show, or operation, something like that.
Did not see
I did not. That reminds me of the 70s. We had one of those when I was growing up. There was an in-counter blender that you would pop. You'd have a blender on, and you have different accessories for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was neat.
I do see a lot of those, like that whole 70s coming back, that retro aspect of it. But some of those little things, those little smart tech things that you had at those houses, then they're revamped, but it's definitely coming back around.
It's cool to see.
So, question for you both. I feel like, the advent of smart technology came about maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. And we still have, some designers we talk to who they're like, my clients aren't into it. I'm not into it. How did you all know that this was something that you wanted to specialize in, and that you knew it was important for you to have for your offerings?
It's embracing it. It just depends. Like, if you are a designer that doesn't want to embrace it, then your clients won't embrace it either. But then it also is narrowing your pool of potential clients. So for us, especially, I have a firm. I have 6 designers. I have to keep busy. So like being aware of all of new features or new services that we can offer gives us the upper hand within our area to make sure that it makes us makes us more valuable, what we bring to the table. So for us, it's a necessity to grow.
No, I think it would be strange, or just a missed chance, I guess.
It
If
did.
you did have a client who wanted some part of this and you had no idea, and then you have to bring in somebody else, or you lose the project.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power in this. And what it kind of reminds me of is, I feel like anytime there's something new, there's such a learning curve. We have to get comfortable with it. And as designers, I think we always are worrying about the what if something doesn't go right or it goes wrong. Like, there's always that aspect in addition to specifying something new. But like, kind of like when social media came about and the internet. It was like, you have a printed portfolio. Do I need a website? All of that conversation. And now look where we are today, right? Everything is out there. Everything is digital. So it's kind of the same thing. I think, you educate yourself. You go to the trade shows. You learn about the product. Product knowledge is power as well, because then we can offer so much more to our clients. And I think that's it's a big part of our job. And I think it's one of the coolest parts of our job, is getting to learn what's new and discover what's out there.
So in terms of, I guess there are all levels of technology in a project, but when you do have a client who has a significant level of that, how do you leave it? For them, I know you have some clients who are just, I know what I'm doing, don't worry about it. But how do you leave it with some of those who've just introduced some new things? Do they also have a relationship with the integrator, the tech specialist that they can come back to? Kind of, how does that work?
It depends on how complicated the system is. So like, if it's definitely something that needs maintenance or any type of adjusting, then creating that relationship directly together. But if you're already working with that person too, then they're seeing that relationship, you're helping them, then you create a strategic alliance where that way that audiovisual company or whatever they may do will start referencing clients to you, because then they know y'all work well together. So it could be very lucrative.
Yeah, it opens up the door to so much.
Yes.
Not only happy clients.
Yes. So it's okay, and it's okay to connect them directly. Like, you don't have to always be in the middle of it, especially whenever it's an extremely technical question. I don't feel like I have to know everything, put it that way.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I think we can handle the faucets and the simpler questions on the window treatments and the lighting and all that, and that stuff. Like, we each have to kind of
know your
Yes,
rules.
exactly.
Yeah, when they start pulling out the computer and connecting it to the house, I'm done. I'm like, I'm out. I was like, you got this guy, he's gonna help you out. I will be here for emotional support. Or if we wanna discuss like what color the lightings are at certain times of day, then I'm here for you. But I'm not gonna even pretend that I can handle or do what he's doing.
It's a group effort.
Yes.
So how is the relationship with, the design professional in a tech integrator, how has that evolved over the years? Because I know at first it was sort of,
Yeah. Because sometimes they make your job site run longer.
Yeah.
I would say it's work. It's just like with any relationship. Like you're gonna hit bumps and bruises. I have messed everything up. Everything we've talked about today, I have done it wrong once or twice before. I learned from my lessons, but it's good to also acknowledge when you're wrong or when you don't know anything. So I have no issue with saying like, look, I don't know anything about this. I need you to help me explain this to me. And most of the companies that you work with, if you approach it in that way, that you see them as the expert in this field and you want to learn from them, they will roll the red carpet out for you. They will take every phone call you have. They will answer any question you have. They'll meet with your clients even on your terms. Like if you want to, like I've even had them pop by the showroom for 20 minutes just to talk about the switches, and then they left. So like once you create the relationship, it works really well, as long as you're open to aspects of being able to say, I don't know about this and I need your help.
Yeah, and their showrooms are a very important part of
Yes.
that too. Like
Yes.
being able to have that physical place where you could see, touch, and feel and experience all of the options. I think that is so important. And in addition to the relationship, it's like we have to hit all these things and then also defer to them for their expertise and working together. Like we don't build the whole house and furnish it and do all that. We're working in a team to do all of this, right? And so it's the same team effort, and but us kind of fostering that knowledge of as much as we can also makes our relationship even better.
Yes.
Working with them too. So I think it's helpful. It's like we're making the effort, and they could educate us further too.
So you feel they've definitely improved on, customer relationship as well, being able to talk to them instead of, kind of talking in layman's terms versus.
No, I don't. They have a hard time. Sometimes it's when they're talking, that might be part of the conversation that you're there with them. And so when they ask the question or they talk to the client, it's where you can see the client has glazed over, that you don't understand. It's sometimes being the person. It's like, could you explain that a little differently? Or like, when I press this button, just tell me what happens.
Right.
So like, it's okay to again, say like, all right, we got to dumb it down a notch. Like, I need a stupid smart house. Like, like you got to make it where I can understand what you're talking about.
No, that definitely helps to kind of keep it in the layman's terms
Yes.
when need be, because I think also when it goes too over anyone's head on that level, like you said, you kind of glaze over, and the client might glaze over and say like, this might be too much.
Yeah.
So I just have to share a funny example about my dad. Sorry, Dad. He had his bathroom renovated, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, and he definitely doesn't care about resale value. He did whatever he wanted to.
I love that.
He has Convetti Vitrazzo countertop. It's colorful in there. He just went nuts. And it's a really small space, but they talked him into putting in a smart thermostat, a smart fan where he can actually listen to music. It's been there for a while. And at first, I think he thought, well, that's great, and he absolutely hates it. He walks to the point where he walks around the house getting ready in the morning with a little radio with NPR. I'm
Back
like,
to
you
basics.
can stay. Okay, what? No, not even that little piece.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know that the tides have changed, and it's definitely like even myself, it's easier for me to understand. And I think, just the pure convenience, like if you look at it in a way as to what the benefits are, not just technology for technology's sake, they always say.
It truly improves your life.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to do that, So, all right, so let's open up Q&A from the audience here.
All right, I've got a microphone, so let me get to you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I wanted to ask a little bit more about the privacy aspect, because I know that's a thing that is a barrier for a lot of people. So are there any type of systems or modifications that you put in place, and how do you broach that topic with them if that's a concern for them?
So that's going to kind of fall back into your audiovisual company. So like it's the type of security system they have set up for that type of unit. So that's going to fall more back on. That's where I'm like, I don't. That's when you approach the conversation, you start with that. Like, I'm really concerned about security. Can people log into this? Is this a closed network or open network? And that's where you fall into bringing in that expert that not only knows the product, but also you start with that as part of the conversation. So what products have the best for security aspects of anyone being able to see into the home or share your information too. Like that's another big part of making sure, it's just kind of like on your phones when you get an update, like you have to go back and click what you want to be accessible and what you don't want to be accessible, like managing your cookies almost.
That was a great explanation.
Okay, good.
Any more questions?
Hi, I'm Jean. I have a question for you, but I'm the owner of Blue Vision. We're a home technology company. We're here at ADAC. We have a great showroom at Suite 406, so a lot of answers to a lot of questions here. But the question I have for you, what do you think about lunch and learn, CEUs? Is that something that, about home technology, something you're interested in, or you have too much of it, or do you find value?
I think there's extreme value because for me, it changes so often. And the rules change so often too. I think keeping up to date with this, just like how probably everyone feels, like it's hard to keep up to date. So the more information that you're willing to give in our terms, layman's terms, like even just a class on explaining how, like when we say this, what does it actually mean? Because there's a lot of things, like even with lighting, like lighting took, when they changed all the bulbs to be described differently, that took me almost 6 months to figure out. I kept saying the wrong color. I kept saying that I was saying like 6,000 instead of 3,000. I was messing up some stuff until I literally had a conversation with my electrician, and he's the one that actually helped me understand it and wrap my head around it. So the same thing, I would say, I would very much appreciate that even from all levels. Like where I'm based out of, I would love for my companies to do that too. So I think it'd be really, really worth it.
Yeah, for us being here has been a game changer. We've been here 6 months, but a
Yeah.
lot more connection. And our relationship with designers has basically done 180 since 10 years ago, you know. We were the guys putting ugly TVs and speakers in your beautiful homes, and now we make it more beautiful, you know, with lights.
But you're right, tech changes I mean, at this point, I feel like every 6 months, like I have to tell clients all the time, like we're not designing around this TV. Like I can't, like that'd be silly. Like the TVs are gonna change, the sizes change, like you have to leave flexibility within things, even for like your systems rooms, right? Like how big of a room you need for that versus now how much now of a closet space you need now versus how much you needed 5 years ago is substantially different, which is wonderful. It's like, it went from like 2 big towers to like 1.5, like, or 1, or half of 1. So I think that's really important to keep up with.
Well, we're here, you know,
Okay.
Suite 406.
That was a little plug. Everybody go by there and check them out.
Well, he also said being at ADAC was a game changer, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
I had a question about the free power. Does that require a manufactured countertop, or does it work with natural?
I believe it can work with natural stone as well, but you have to work, the fabricators that are certified with free power are those who will be the ones doing that and the fabrication installations. So it's always good to have that conversation with the fabricators who are certified to make sure you get all of that information.
Yes. Agreed. Because it does have to be cut to a certain thickness, and it is thinner than, like, so I did one in Cambria, and it's actually thinner than what I had to route out for the Cambria one. But it works every time, which is wonderful. But I would start off with what stones are allowed, can I use this with? Because even with Constantino, with south stone, only certain slabs or certain colors will actually work with it.
Maybe has to be lighter?
It has to do with the veining too. But from what I noticed, I didn't get the details, just from the visual aspect of what I could see.
I think the certified fabricators are
That's why you.
And I'm guessing they're going to have, it's going to be available in more materials as they move forward.
Yes.
It's amazing technology, so definitely, I think a game changer for sure.
I 100% agree, but it works every time. That's what I was really impressed with, because I've installed some where it's like, you gotta take it out the case and you gotta adjust it and hit the button, or you have to have a sticker on the counter just to get it just right. I'm looking for consistency, which is what I saw here.
It's great.
Hi, how are you all?
Good. Hi.
I have a question about the cooktop with the countertop over
It
it.
is a
Just
cook.
want to know how safe that would be. You know, you have others in the household, they may lay something on top of it.
what type of indication is given that this is a hot surface?
A lot of them are induction based, so it cooks in an electromagnetic field when you're dealing with induction. So once you remove that pot in the cooking, it's not going to be hot. So that's the safeguard there for one. A lot of them also have indicator things where you could put, there's like sometimes like a little mat or something where you could showcase where it actually is if you wanted that. But when you're dealing with induction, there's definitely a great safety factor. So once that hot pot is removed, you could put your hand right down on there. So yeah, it would be warm to the touch, but
warm,
like,
it's just
yeah.
warm.
So it'll kind of stop that process.
So it wouldn't be able to burn you, or even, it would just be like, it might melt some chocolate.
Like just a little warm.
Yeah. Like how much light the old under-counter lights used to put out. Yes. How much heat.
I was wondering what some of your favorite lighting lines were for the motorized shades, and are any of them battery operated? Does it always have to be done ahead of time for I do a lot of renovations, so how much involvement is that?
For me, for the motorized shades, I do a big mixture of battery operated and hardwire, depending on the height and the width of the window. Some of them can't be battery operated when they're so large. Yeah, so oftentimes in remodel and new construction, we're doing this differently, but we use so much of the battery operated, and the batteries are different to charge nowadays. Years ago, you'd have to get up there and pull out this, it was a little bit more involved. Clients would call us to service to remove the batteries and fix this. Now it's just a little thing you plug right in, charge it quickly. It's a lot easier. So I do a mix. Most of them have the Somfy motors. And for me, they integrate well into most systems. So I like a mix. And I think battery operated is a good way to go when you don't want to have to deal with additional electric if it works for all those windows.
And is that a better option for renovations versus new builds too?
I think so, because then you're not doing additional electrical and stuff like that. And there's always that question so early on, like, where's the outlet going to, like, there's a lot of questions that go into that. Yeah.
How much you're opening the walls that you're working on. Like if you're not doing any sheetrock work on these walls that you're working on, then battery operated would be.
Yeah.
But if you're back to studs and you have the opportunity to do wires, then you could.
Yeah, I feel like window treatment's always, to me, whether you're motorizing, automating, all that, always so early on in the conversation. We got to know what you want to do there to make it easier for everyone in the end.
This is to follow up on hers. What is your favorite window treatment manufacturer versus like for the automation piece?
So for me, I work a lot, like if I'm buying from certain workrooms and stuff, sometimes they have their own like kind of private label line. So I'm not always buying from a specific brand. I'm doing solar shades through my workroom that I'm getting it from. And a lot of the times we're customizing drapery to be motorized, but I know the motor is typically Somfy that they use. And the remote's very easy, and like all of that, it makes it simple. But for like more, like even at an easier level, Shade Store has a lot of great options where you're doing that. And I think that's it's a great opportunity to look at shades and roller shades and all of that. And their showrooms are really great. So I think that's nice if you want to kind of get a first look and see the possibilities.
We have Shade Store here
Yeah.
at ADAC. Anyone else? No more questions? Okay, I think that's perfect time to wrap up. Yeah, wonderful. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much to
thank you.
Kitchen and Bath Business. Chelsea, panelists, that was really, really fascinating. Thank you. All right, remember, everyone, we have an hour break, a little over an hour break for lunch, and so we'll meet back here at 1:30.